Good morning, everybody. You guys want to hear a crazy story? Well, let me just put this camera down right here and we're just gonna talk about it. So at the end of the last vlog, I talked about how FedEx was terrible. I was supposed to be receiving this package, but it was apparently undeliverable because the address was wrong when it wasn't. Like, I double and triple checked the address that I put in on Amazon, because I got this on Amazon, and it was very much correct, and therefore, do you need to go potty? Come on, let's go potty. So the address was definitely not wrong, and it was definitely FedEx that was messing up whatever they were messing up. Susan, meanwhile, works downtown at the vet office there. So she was gonna go downtown, and it's a small little town. So she's like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna go into work, and while I'm there, I'm gonna look for the FedEx truck. I'm gonna look for the FedEx guy, see what the deal is, and I'm gonna call my usual FedEx driver, because they get a lot of packages at the vet office, and see like what the deal is. So she calls her typical FedEx driver to see like, hey, what did they say about it? Her name is Annie, and she's very sweet. And Annie was like, yeah, do you know if it was like FedEx Ground or if it was FedEx Express? And I didn't know. I don't know. I just order stuff and it shows up. Like, I don't really pay attention too much about what branch of FedEx delivers packages. It turned out that Annie drives for FedEx Ground, but it came through for FedEx Express, which would be a different driver. So Annie was like, okay, I'm gonna call a couple of my coworkers, see who's on the route today, and then we'll get it all straightened out. This is before Susan left for work too. We get a call back from Annie, and she's like, okay, so typically it's this guy named Nick, and Nick is the guy you wanna talk to, except Nick, because it's Christmas vacation time, he has like a substitute driver who's not familiar with the routes. So it makes sense why the person wouldn't know the address, even though it shouldn't, because the address was correct, but that's a different story. Susan was like, okay, well, thank you. I'm gonna go downtown and we're gonna see if maybe we can get it straightened out. She hangs up the phone. She calls another business owner who lives in town to see if they've gotten any packages yet. It turned out that they hadn't, and Susan was like, okay, that's perfect. If they come to your business, if they come to your office, stop them so I can see if they have this package on board. And they were like, okay, that's doable, we can do that. She goes downtown and she sees the FedEx truck driving. And she's like, wait, stop, stop. So she flags the FedEx guy down, manages to get the package, and now we have a new camera. That is my long-winded story to tell you what is going on. So now we're gonna switch over to this camera, and I'll show you guys what we've been recording on this entire time. So we've been recording all of our vlogs on this camera, which is the Canon G7X Mark II, but it's a piece of crap. It's definitely needed to be upgraded for a while. This is the flip-up screen. Do you see the huge chunks that are taken out of it? It got cracked, and there's like this huge crack missing out of the corner, and it's missing, when you flip the screen up, it's missing a screw on this corner, so it's really wobbly, and because of that, when you flip it up, it's backwards. So you actually have to physically push in this corner for it to actually turn out right side up, and it's really just a big mess, honestly. So we switched cameras. And hold on, Noelle requires that she be let inside. So we have upgraded our camera. This is the Sony RX100 Mark VI. Previously, if you guys have been watching for a super duper long time, we actually recorded all of our vlogs on a Sony RX100, but it was Mark II. And it was brand new at the time. It's been so many years since we've used a Sony camera, but I freaking love it. The thing with Canon is that the picture profile on it is super flattering. There's a reason why so many vloggers use this camera. It makes the colors look really good. It makes you look super attractive. Like you just look very lively. However, I would argue that it's not a very realistic picture profile. It doesn't look very realistic. Whereas Sony looks a lot more realistic. This is a lot more what I look like and what the lighting looks like compared to the Canon. And then at the same time, the built-in microphone is a lot better on the Sony than it is on the Canon. So we got a new camera, guys. We got a new camera. So this morning we kind of have a little bit of an issue. The fireplace isn't working. So it's a propane fireplace and the pilot light isn't on at all. And I actually woke up to it making a really weird noise this morning. I actually thought it was Susan blow drying her hair at first. The fan had kicked on, but it just didn't sound right. It was making a really loud noise. And so Susan actually rents this house. She doesn't own this house. And so we called the landlord to be like, hey, we have no heat. Basically, we're hoping it's gonna get figured out today. We thought it might have been like low on propane, but Susan checked the tank and it was at like 50 to 60% remaining. So that doesn't seem right. And this is basically how we heat the house. So if we could get this working ASAP, that would be fantastic. We have these like baseboard heaters, which do work. And it's definitely better than nothing, but that provides so much more heat than the baseboards. So we're gonna hopefully get that straightened out today. And I am just loving the Christmas tree. Look at how cute it is. It's so bushy. And it's a real tree, which does smell great. But to give it a little boost of yummy smell, I have fresh balsam burning from Bath & Body Works. One of my favorites during the Christmas time. Okay, somebody's come by to look at the fireplace. So we're gonna see how this goes. She came by and it looks like we have a pilot light issue, like the pilot light isn't working properly. So she's gonna call Jack and let him know that there's gonna need to be a repair on it. But the good news is that all we have to do is switch it into manual mode and hit the button like it's a gas stove, and the pilot light will flick on and it'll heat the house. So that's fine, it's functional, it's just not doing automatic how it should be. And so they're gonna have somebody call or come out and look at, fix the actual pilot light. And then she also said that even though the propane tank is at 50, 60% or whatever it is, she's gonna have a guy come and like top it off. So that way that's taken care of too. So I just wanted to let you know what she said and all that jazz.
Thank you. Well, I'm glad it's working. I turned the baseboards up, so you might want to turn those back down.
Yeah, she said that too. So I'm gonna turn those down, and yeah, we're just gonna have to use manual mode for the time being, and it'll get us through, like the weekend or whatever, but that we're gonna get the automatic fixed when as soon as they can. I filmed it a little bit on this camera, and I imported the footage and there was a lot of noise, and I think I need to just adjust some settings a little bit. So I decided to come outside with Noelle. We needed to get some energy out anyway, and by we I mean somebody else. So we're just gonna play out here and see what kind of footage we can get. How's your day? Are we gonna get in trouble again? Are you gonna be too loud?
I hope not.
I hope not too. I don't want any angry people coming to knock on your door to tell you to shut up.
It rained last night, like pretty hard.
You got rain?
Yeah, I woke up to it.
Did you? That's so cool.
Oh, hello.
Look at your beard.
I know.
This is the new camera. I wonder how like big your beard is gonna look on the new camera. Do you think the new camera will make it look bigger?
I hope so.
Whoa.
Later in the day was a lot more fun because we have this like simulator trainer thingy.
Yeah.
We were having some issues with it, so we were troubleshooting it. I got to fly it. I got to fly the plane basically.
Wow.
And,
but it's a trainer, so it's like a simulator kind of thing?
It's a simulator, but it's all...
But it's like legit.
real, I guess.
Yeah.
You can actually become certified on this plane if you do enough hours in that.
That's pretty crazy. Isn't that kind of like getting a driver's test without driving an actual car?
Yeah. We set it all up, and I had, like, they turned it on, basically, so I turned the plane on, and it started up, and I took off, and what we have loaded was, like, this place here where we are.
Yeah.
So everything was, like, mapped out. And so I took off from the runway. He's like, all right, you know, once you hit this speed, you rotate, and then at this speed, you take off. I'm like, okay.
Okay, then.
He's like, once you get to this altitude, just level off. Okay, cool. I don't know what I'm doing. I ended up just flying, like, back towards the runway. I came in, but I was too high, so I said, like, screw it. So I just flew over the runway to the other side, and then did, like, another big loop.
Mm-hmm.
Came back, and I was coming in. There's a certain, like, piece of equipment on the plane that turns on at a certain, like, altitude.
Yeah.
It tells you how close you are. So that came on. And then I was coming in, and then I hit the ground. I was like, oh, I'm here.
Not a smooth landing,
he looked at it. He pointed at one of the screens. He's like, wow, 4.4 Gs. Hitting the ground at 4.4 Gs. You're like, that's a hard landing inspection, like landing gear inspection. I'm like, well.
So you're not about to be
not
not about to be a pilot, huh?
No, but it was a ton of fun.